Hi, good afternoon. Sorry for the delay that we had in today's class. There was some technical issue that we were trying to resolve. So let us go ahead and begin with the class. And um, in the last class, we were going ahead and we were talking about the Lorenz curve. So we already went ahead and we talked about two things. One, we talked about the criterias of inequality. And secondly, we have talked about what is the Lorenz curve. I'm going to go ahead and continue from there now. Now, another thing that, before we go ahead and we talk about the measures of inequality further, I just want to go ahead and I just want to focus on how the Lorenz curve can be linked to the four principles of inequality, if at all they can be linked. So the question is, can I go ahead and can I link Lorenz curve to the four principles of inequality, right? And yes, the answer is yes. We can go ahead and we can link it to the four principles of inequality. So if you remember, the first principle of inequality, it was anonymity, right? If you notice in the Lorenz curve, we are not taking the name of the people. हम ये नहीं बोल रहे कि किसने कितना income earn किया. We are taking the population and the income earned. But we are not talking about who earned what, right? हमने सिर्फ उनको arrange कर दिया from lowest to highest. So that means that the anonymous principle is followed, right? The second is population principle. Population principle said that we should be able to write everything in terms of percentage. And here, actually, I am able to write everything in terms of percentage. So this is also followed. The third principle, it talked about the relative income principle, right? That everything is relative. It means I should be able to arrange from lowest income to highest income, from poor to rich, right? मेरे को सिर्फ poor से rich को arrange करना है. It does not matter what poor is earning and what rich is earning. वो भी यहाँ पे follow हो रहा है. Because we are saying that what is the income of first 10% of population? What is the income of next 20% of the population? So we are able to arrange them from poorest to rich. है ना, हम उसको बोल पा रहे हैं without understanding what is the income of poor and what is the income of rich. So relative income principle is also being followed. And at last, the fourth principle that we had, that was the Dalton principle. Dalton principle was saying what? If I make a transfer from a lower income person to a higher income person, then inequality should increase. So let's try to see that. एक बारी वो वाला भी देख लेते हैं. So suppose I go ahead and I draw a line of equality. And I draw a Lorenz curve. Right? ये मेरा Lorenz curve है. Now what I am going ahead and what I am doing is I am going to go ahead and transfer the income from rich to poor. So supposedly, earlier, 20% of the people, they were earning 10% of the income. Now I have taken some income away from them. मैंने इनसे कुछ income ले लिया. So these 20% of the people, they are only earning 7% of the income. And earlier, 70% of the people, they were earning, suppose, 60% of the income. Right? Now, I have gone ahead and I have given them more. So the same, when I talk about the richer people now have more income, right? I have transferred this income from rich to poor, from poor to rich. So the same 70% of the people, right? The first 70% of the people, when I go ahead and I talk about them, I am making a transfer such that now my Lorenz curve is following like this. यहां तक सेम है, इधर से इट स्टार्ट्स बेंडिंग अ बिट, right? Something like this. And then it goes ahead and becomes like this, right? I am taking a transfer of income from lower income to the higher income. And when I make this transfer, what is happening is that the Lorenz curve is falling a bit downwards, right? So because the Lorenz curve is shifting a bit downwards, yahan gir raha hai Lorenz curve, right? The poor is becoming more poorer now. I have transferred the income and the rich is becoming more richer now. So what has happened is that the inequality has increased. क्योंकि हमें पता है from the Lorenz criteria that the lower the Lorenz curve, the more the inequality, right? So it means that it is following the fourth principle also, that when I will make a transfer from lower to richer, then the Lorenz curve also shows that inequality will increase. तो ये जो चारों ही प्रिंसिपल हैं, ये लॉरेंस कर्व इनको फॉलो करता है. लॉरेंस कर्व फॉलोज ऑल दीज फोर प्रिंसिपल्स, right? So please write down. This is a very important theorem, that an inequality measure is consistent with Lorenz curve if and only if it is simultaneously consistent with anonymity, population, relative income, and Dalton principle. तो कहने का ये मतलब है that anything which follows these four principles, जो भी इन चारों प्रिंसिपल को फॉलो करेगा, ऑटोमेटिकली वो लॉरेंस क्राइटेरिया को फॉलो करेगा. एंड व्हाट वाज द लॉरेंस क्राइटेरिया? द लॉरेंस क्राइटेरिया, you here you can instead of curve write criteria. What was the Lorenz criteria? That the lower the Lorenz curve, the more the inequality. So if you are following these four principles, you will automatically follow the Lorenz criteria. तो अगर कोई inequality Lorenz criteria के through निकल रही है, it means in the background these four observations, these four principles are automatically followed, right? So in a way we are saying that they are coming to a common juncture. वो एक ही जगह पे दोनों आके आ रहे हैं, दोनों से एक ही चीज आ रही है, right? So please write down with me. The Lorenz curve automatically incorporates the principle of anonymity, population, and relative income because the curve drops all information on income or population magnitude and only retains information about income and population share. समझे? जो हमने अभी भी बोला कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ हम परसेंटेज की बात कर रहे हैं. वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ इनकम, right? We are not talking about what income, we are not talking about who earned this income, right? तो automatically ये जितना भी हमारा प्रिंसिपल है, the first three principle, they are actually being easily followed, right? Next line, please write down. To understand the Dalton principle, consider any income distribution and transfer some resources from, say, the 40th population percentile to 80th पॉपुलेशन परसेंटाइल। तो हमने जो लो 40% में आ रहे थे, जो इनकम जिन लोगों का बॉटम 40% में था, उनसे इनकम लेके वी आर ट्रांसफरिंग इट टू द 80th पॉपुलेशन परसेंटाइल, राइट? सो दिस इज रिग्रेसिव ट्रांसफर। यू रिमेंबर, whenever we transfer from poor to rich, उसको हम regressive transfer बोलते हैं, right? And according to Dalton principle, the inequality must increase. सो डाल्टन प्रिंसिपल बोलता है कि इसमें इनइक्वालिटी इंक्रीज होना चाहिए, राइट? नाउ व्हाट यू कैन डू इज यू कैन जस्ट ड्रॉ दिस ग्राफ, हंड्रेड हंड्रेड line of equality, right? And suppose this is 20, 40, 60, 80 and 100. Make sure that the gaps are equal that you're drawing. तो 20 तक there is no transfer. Initially भी हमने 40 से transfer करना शुरू किया. This is 40. And then, as we said in the last class, the Lorenz curve becomes steeper and steeper. है ना? क्योंकि हम we are adding the income of the richer, और richer will contribute more to the income. तो जैसे जैसे हम ऊपर ऊपर Lorenz curve में जाएंगे, it will become steeper and steeper. So I need to make comparatively steeper, then steeper, and then steeper. The Lorenz curve must become steeper and steeper and steeper. अब क्या हुआ that we are giving a transfer from the 40 percentile to the 80 percentile. तो 40 पे we will make a drop. 40 वालों का income कम हो जाएगा. So the Lorenz curve will become lesser here. And then slowly it will come here and then it will join back. तो ये जो drop आया in the Lorenz curve, because inequality has also increased, this is something which is also shown by the Lorenz curve, right? So what is this new curve telling us? This new curve is also telling us that there is inequality increase in the population. So please write down the reason for the reduction or drop of Lorenz curve is that the 40th percentile of people are now taxed for the 80th percentile, right? The new share of 40th percentile falls, right? So 40th percentile will now be earning less, and therefore we will go ahead and we will see that there is an there is a drop at the 40th percentile, right? So therefore it is following this Lorenz principle. At 80th percentile, actually after 80th nothing happens. So it's like this. Just see here. So suppose there is person 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? This is the income, right? So income earned by the first person, suppose, is 20. By the second person is 30. I'm writing cumulative income here. Right, so this becomes 20. Ye ho gaya 20 plus 30, 50. Then suppose this is 40. So this becomes 90. This is 50. So this becomes 140. And this is 60. So this becomes 200. Right, so the total income is 200. And you're just finding the percentage, right? So how do I find the percentage? So you're going to go ahead and you're going to divide. So the first, so if I just go ahead and quickly do this, give me a minute, let me open the calculator. Okay, so then we have 20 divided by 200 into 100, which means that I'm going to get 10%, right? Then you have 50 divided by 200 into 100, that means 25%. Then you have 90 divided by 200 into 100, 45%. Then you have 140 divided by 200 into 100, that means 70%. And this is going to be 100%. Right? So this is how we have gone ahead and we have found out the income. That if I take one person alone, the first person, you can convert this also into percentage. So there are 5 people, right? So the first 20% of the population, then 20 plus 20, 40% of population, 60% of population, 80% of population, and 100% of population. So if I just go ahead and make the graph now, this is my line of equality. यहाँ पे हो गया 100, यहाँ पे हो गया 100. I am saying that first 20% of population is earning 10% of income. तो यहाँ पे अगर हम 20 लें, this should have been 20, but they are just earning 10% of the income. Then we are saying that the next first 40% of the population, they are earning 25% of the income, right? So just mark here 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. ऐसा कुछ mark कर लो, right? So 40% of population is earning 25% of the income, right? This is 30 and you should be getting 30 here. 40 should be matched to 40. 50 should be matched to 50. ऐसे चलेगा. So this is 25 here. Then 60% of the population is earning 45% of the income. So if I take 50, 60, 60 is somewhere here. 60% of the population is earning 45% of the income. That means less than 50, somewhere here, right? So you can just try to join these points together. So you will go ahead and get this point and this point and this point. Just plot this. Somehow you will be able to get the Lorenz curve. I haven't taken symmetry, but this is how you will be getting. Now we are going ahead and we are doing a transfer. तो अब ट्रांसफर में हमने क्या किया है ना, supposedly I make a transfer from the second person to the fourth person, right? So this is my income, right? And this is 20. Now I have taken 5 rupees from the second person, so he's left up with 25, 40, and I have given it to the fourth person. So this becomes 55 and this becomes 60, right? So if you see yahan par, again I have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5th person. So 20% of population, 40%, 60%, 80%, 100%. And इधर यहाँ पे I am finding cumulative income. So I will get 20, 45, 85, 140 and 200. तो यहाँ देखो here it is 20 only. जो पहला 20% का population का income था वो 20 ही है, it is the same. और जो लास्ट में 80% का पॉपुलेशन का इनकम आ रहा है दैट इज कमिंग आउट टू बी सेम, है ना? So if you see, ye 20 is matching with this 20 and ye 140 is matching with this 140. Just that in between, yahan par this has taken a drop. So inequality has increased in between. So if you now go ahead and you find out in terms of percentage, again, you can just quickly do this. So ye to 10% ho jayega, 20 divided by 200 into 100. So 40 divided by 200 into 100 will be 22.5%. 85 divided by 200 into 100 will be 42.5%. And then you will get 70% and 100%. Right? So यहाँ पर instead of 25 this is 22.5, instead of 45 this is 42.5. तो सिर्फ यहाँ पर देखो instead of 25 थोड़ा नीचे आ जाएगा, instead of 45 थोड़ा नीचे आ जाएगा, and then it will just merge with it. So only for these 2 points, यहाँ पर it will go a little below, here it will go a little below, and then it will just merge. इसके बाद it will just merge back to this one, and यहाँ पे भी it will merge back. Right? So only for 2 points the Lorenz curve will be below. 80th pit will merge back. This is exactly what I have tried to draw here. 80th pit should merge back. It should go back somehow here. 80th pit needs to merge back and go back to the original Lorenz curve. 20th tak it will be on the original Lorenz curve. Only in between it is going low. क्योंकि यहीं पर देखो it has taken a drop. 25 की जगह 22.5, 45 की जगह 42.5. It has taken a drop. Lorenz curve has gone below. और सिर्फ यहीं से we show that inequality has increased. This is what we are trying to say here. ठीक है, so try to make this graph a bit better. Take equal scales. यहाँ पे I haven't taken a square like situation. You will be able to see that Lorenz curve will take a drop. So it means that Lorenz curve is following the Dalton's principle also, right? So that is what we are going